Hi guys, today I'm just gonna share with you a Photoshop tutorial on how to use Adobe Camera Raw when editing your pictures. So itong example na to is we're going to edit this photo of a dog from this picture to this picture. So makikita nyo ang difference from original to this one. So okay, let's get started. So in Photoshop, we're going to open Adobe Camera Raw from the filter menu over here, and we're just gonna play with these settings: exposure, contrast, highlights, shadows, textures, probably clarity, and maybe itong temperature and tint. So let's start editing this one. Maybe ang image is actually properly exposed. Walang masyadong dark, walang overly bright areas. So one thing that I will consider doing is adjusting the contrast para magkaroon siya ng depth and between the highlights and the shadows. And with regards naman to the highlights, this is if you want to reduce those overly bright areas, for example. But since this picture doesn't have that overly bright areas, we can still enhance those areas probably around here. So by reducing the highlights, you bring the slider to the left. As you can see, ang nag-a-adjust is usually yung mga bright areas. Let's say we can keep it there. Then maybe yung shadows, kaunti. No? And then still maybe we can adjust the contrast a little bit more. So you can see. And then the textures and the clarity, we can play with this as well. The textures actually, if you zoom closer, you can see if you have a zoom control, you have your cursor shows a plus sign in the middle of that magnifying glass. So like this, for textures, just slide this to the right. As you can see, let's just pan the image. You bring it all the way to the right. You can see that the image, you can see more textures in the image. And for the clarity, mas aggressive ang effect ng clarity compared to the textures. It's almost has the same effect, but sometimes it's also helpful to adjust both. Then the vibrance is actually just adding more intensity of the colors onto the image. Parang saturation siya, but it's not doing it over, like not really overdoing the colors itself. Unlike the saturation, when you drag it too high, it becomes too unappealing, kumbaga. So you can leave the saturation, I guess, for this one, and but it's depende sa inyo kung how much saturation. And then so like for example, I think this one is okay na, and let's try a little bit more. I want to put some more textures on the sofa. Let's see if I can do that here. Maybe just a little bit. Okay. So now once we have that done, we can still add some more effect by using some of these tools here. We can just fit it in view, and like we'll just use this one here. So this is like putting a halo around your image, but again using the same controls like the one we did earlier. but this one is only within the bounding circular areas. So you can actually flip the overlay effect. Right now it's set to, let's see, it's set to outside, meaning whatever is outside is the one that becomes darker, because if you look at the exposure, this is where it happens. So let's see, let's say we want to add a little bit of um, halo around the image. You can just pull this left and right, you know. And let's say this is okay, and then let's add a little bit more, like this gradient filter. This one naman is similar to the oval effect, but this is more linear in style. So you just drag from one end, and then the same thing, you can adjust the effect like this. So it's very easy. You just need to play with each of this, and you can probably adjust the contrast, and like this. So let's say we're happy with this. We click OK. So let's just wait. Okay. So lastly, I think all we need to do is just crop the image. Just crop the image, and then just so there you go. And maybe just reduce it a little bit more. Okay, there you go. And then let's just see the overall difference. Let's just gonna go back to the history. So from that to this. So yun lang mga friends. So I hope you learned something today, and so next time magkikita-kita tayo ulit for the next tutorial. And I hope you like the video, and please subscribe and like if you happen to learn something today. Salamat, and bye-bye.